Hi everyone and welcome to the Recruitment Brothers Podcast. With an age gap of 17 years and two heavy Swedish accents, we're here to cover everything about, yeah, you guessed it right, recruitment.
And now over to the older brother Rickard. Welcome to our podcast. Although recruitment is our focus, we will also talk about sports, business development and leadership. And we will invite some inspiring guests. Let's get straight into it. Hello everyone, finally after some technical issues we are back. Episode 3, How to Stand Out in a Job Process 2025. Hi Martin.
Hello, Rickard. How are you doing? Are you? But yeah, finally we are here recording again after some tech issues. First time we're recording remotely. We're not in the same room today, but finally we managed to get all the technicalities in place. And yeah, a little disclaimer for the listeners in case my audio is off. Yeah, that's a result of those issues. So thank you for your patience and understanding in this third episode. We're getting better and better.
No, but Martin, what's new since last episode?
Oi, what's new? I think it would be an easier question to answer what's not new, because a lot has happened since last time. But to make a long story short, I was on vacation. I came back from vacation, and now I've almost forgot that I had vacation. So all in all, it's good. We're approaching at least my favorite period of the recruitment, which is right after vacation, just because, yeah, companies are open to hire. Candidates maybe have had some time to think about their career and their motivation during the summer. So we see a little bit more openness in the market. So no, it's good to be back at work. Clients are moving. A lot of interesting process going on now in new countries that we haven't recruited in before. So no, all in all, good. How has it been for you?
Same. I've been in Spain the last month, so it has been really nice to be in Malaga and have that work abroad experience a bit. But back in Oslo, had a camp with the national team the other day, so that was fun to kickstart the new season. And business-wise, also signed some new clients, and actually our first one in the US. So I'm excited, as you are, for the autumn.
Yeah, excited to see how that goes. I remember we spoke about it. I think it was in the first episode when I asked you what geographical markets you would like to try out next, and you actually mentioned US. So it's fun to see that. Yeah, we finally get the chance. So, but yeah, today's topic you mentioned there a little bit in the beginning, and I think maybe I touched on it here as well. Vacation period. People start to think about their maybe next move in their career. Maybe they are seeking a new challenge, feel like they have reached the peak where they're currently working, and they're about to apply to new jobs. So yeah, Rickard, how do you think, succeeding and standing out in a job process is a wide topic, of course. But if we just compare to how it's been, they're 17 years apart from us. What do you think has changed, or maybe how was it when you first started in recruitment and job seeking? What made you stand out back then?
Yeah, so back in the days when you applied for a summer job as a youngster, or approached companies with your application, you almost walked out and did a canvas, like knocking on doors, giving out your CV in hand, and asked for a chance to get a job, and also like a lot of like sending like emails and dropping your CVs. And yeah, but I think it was also the same way as it is today, also with networking. I think a lot of jobs is not official on the market online, of course, to know people that know someone's, and also sharing job opportunities and reaching out. That was a old model of searching jobs in the past. But I think you, Martin, also now in the younger and newer generation that have been growing up with internet and all those different systems or medias that we have today, like what would you say is the process today, and how can you stand out?
No, but I feel like LinkedIn is so obvious today. We take it for granted maybe as a part of the job process, although LinkedIn is, of course, it's been there for maybe 15 years, but I feel like it's the last 10 years maybe that it started to become like the main source of job seeking and job hunting. So I think in today's age, of course, LinkedIn is a crucial part, especially in like the white collar industry. I think that's always where you should start today. To tailor your LinkedIn account, it should almost be like, you know, your social CV in a way. I don't know, to break it down, maybe we can start with the first part of the job process, how to succeed with that, which will be the actual application. And then there are, of course, other parts of the job process here, such as the interview stage and the job offer stage. But to succeed with an application today and to get into that first interview, there is a lot of things that you can do. You mentioned how it was back in the day. Maybe you know, printed out your CV in paper and went with it to the employer. Maybe that's an extreme method today, but I'm starting to see, I've also read some articles about it here recently, that more and more companies are starting to value that kind of human approach, because there's so many AI tailored CVs today with, you know, overselling yourself, matching keyword by keyword exactly what's being said in the job advert. And it's very easy for a recruiter today to detect that. So I would almost say that the people that stand out in a job application today, like that first step, is people who do it a little bit in an old school way. To get to a quick example, I think one person that I hired here in Barcelona internally, they sent me a tailored CV, perfect. They connected on LinkedIn like you should do, and they use this kind of modern way of applying. But I also got a cold call from them, and they told me on that cold call, like, "Hey, I'm outside the office. Do you have time for an interview?" And yeah, I did not have time back then, but I got so like interested about this approach that I actually, you know, rescheduled some meetings and made time for an interview. And I met that person in office, and that person then got hired internally. So that's just one example of how you can be a little bit more human in today's AI world and absolutely stand out in that application stage.
If I can add one small thing to that, it's kind of connected to what you said, but like in the past, it was also so common to write this personal letter, kind of the approach of like, okay, why do you want this job? Why are you a fit for the job? And I think that a few years ago, they started to see that the personal letter was dead. But in my opinion, I think that it's more connected again today, and that it would be more valued again today to, like you said, to really stand out. Because say that we post a job, we did it recently and got like 500 applications. How can you filter from those 500 applications and select the most motivated person that have invested a lot of time into the application? And I think the personal letter help you to help the candidate to stand out. And that is something I really value today when someone is texting me with you know, some it doesn't need to be a long like one A4 page, but just some keywords connected to it and why.
Yeah, completely agree. And I've also seen the tendency that you mentioned, getting 500 applicants on a job advertisement. And that's the truth on the side of a recruiter. For those who listen to this and don't know what it looks like, when we post a job, we can literally get hundreds of applicants. Let's say that 250 of these 500 applicants have used some kind of AI to tailor-made their CV. So we're stuck there with 250 applicants with the same sort of CV, with the style and the keywords and why they are a fit. So like you said now, sending that personal letter or even like a personal video where you speak about who you are, like a elevator pitch, basically. I can tell you that it's not even 1% of these 500 applicants who does it. So you will definitely stand out. And maybe one tip I can add there as well is that instead of including it in your application, use like a system like Hunter, for example, or Apollo, where you can find a business email. Just take 5 minutes, create an account on one of these systems, find the email to the hiring manager, and in this email, you drop your CV like you dropped on your application. You drop like a personal letter, like you mentioned, or a personal video, and you just write a short email that, hi, hiring manager, I can imagine you're getting hundreds of applicants for this job. I just wanted to personally introduce myself in this email. I've attached a personal letter and so on and so on. And
Yeah.
I can tell you that not even 1% of people are taking that extra effort to do that, which literally takes them maybe all in all 20 minutes to do, but it gives you a head start above those other 500 applicants. Are there any other tips you see, Rickard, to go from application to getting invited to that first interview?
No, but also being a bit specific on maybe something that is connected to the job, like what skills or previous experience do you have that is matching the job, so you can be a bit concrete. If I'm looking for a recruiter with minimum 2 years of experience, if they can tell me that, oh, I have been doing 20 placements within this industry towards this market with those kind of positions, it make me a very clear picture of what they have been doing in their job. Or if someone telling that, for example, that we are hiring someone, a Nordic speaker for Barcelona, and they telling me that they have been a diving instructor in Bali and lived abroad for 3 years, it shows that they know the process of moving abroad and also what it takes maybe to move to a new city and set up a new life. So small things like that. And even like you said, sending an email can be sending a small message on LinkedIn, maybe even reach out over phone.
Yeah.
I know, like we have talked about before, that it's so easy to send a message, but like if you call someone, like you said the person did to you in Barcelona, it also helps you to stand out. But yeah, and then maybe, of course, say that you are now invited for the interview. And I think I will give you the word first on this one, but like there is some important things to do also when you are invited. What would you say is the key ones?
No, but being invited to an interview may sound very obvious, but do the preparation to the point that you should not fail on technical things. Make sure you have received the invitation, you have the link to join the call. There are so many times I set up a call with someone who's applying for a job, and 5 minutes before they call, they email me saying, I can't find the link. Oh, sorry, I don't have Microsoft Teams. Can we do it through another platform? So just check these things to remove that friction. Check that you have the application that's needed for the call. Check that the invitation has been sent out in your time zone. And if it's not been sent out in your time zone, make sure to look it up, especially when we are applying for international jobs. Don't take for granted that the invitation has been sent out in your time zone. Make sure that you have your audio in place, your microphone in place, and that you come energized. You don't need to be electric, but put a smile on, look the interviewer in the eyes, and also dress appropriate for the job. You don't need to always sit in a suit. That's not what it's about, but look presentable. It doesn't matter if you're gonna apply for a sales job or if you're gonna apply for a back office position where you don't really meeting customers. Make a little bit effort to look presentable. It will show the interviewer that you're actually taking it serious and you've spent that extra time to come for the interview. And then, of course, the research here about the company is crucial. You don't need to do it to the point that it becomes like overkill, but make sure that you understand the company's product and offering or what service they provide. Make sure you understand how they sell their product, like what they make money from, what has been their, especially if you apply to a big company, you can easily read annual reports, like how it's been going the last year, what are their plans and vision for the next years, so you can come a little bit prepared. And also, I would suggest to some people do it very good, and some people maybe don't think about it, but research also the interviewer. Maybe I can find something in common with you, Rickard, that, oh, I can see that you played bandy. And there we have like a, personal connection that I can bring up in the interview when it fits and if it fits. But that can also give you a competitive edge that you have researched the interviewer. Yeah, anything that you have on the top of your mind?
No, I have nothing to add, actually. I think you were straight on point here. Like you said, the curiosity, and yeah, but you don't need to, play a role and play a person you are not. But like you said, and at least go in with the energy that you have in your personality and show an interest in your job you are interviewed for. And like maybe have 2 or 3 questions written down already before you join the interview as well, so you can ask something back.
I actually forgot to mention that, so it's good that you brought it up, because our interview is a two-way conversation, and you can actually sell yourself better by asking questions. So like you say, write down 3 questions about the position, and those questions should not be like, okay, what is the salary? Can I work from home on Fridays and Mondays? Is it okay if I have a workation 2 weeks per? Like, these are not the questions I'm referring to. The type of questions I'm referring to is more like, let's say that we can take that example as well. You're looking for an international recruiter with 2 years of experience. I join into the interview, you get a little bit of background about me, and then it's my turn to ask a question. So I ask you, Rickard. Okay, Rickard, but you mentioned you had a team of 6 recruiters today. What would you say are the 3 biggest traits that the top billers in your team all have today? What are some things they do to overachieve in that position? Do you see that they have any skills or any ways of working? And then, depending on your answer, you might be saying like, yeah, but the top billing recruiters on my team, they are always staying active. They have 100% control on their pipeline at all times, and they are always doing automated follow-ups before their interviews. Oh, but then I can tailor my response to you again. Oh, but back in ABC recruitment, I was always the most active one. I was always smashing my KPIs, and I was actually the one in my team who was the CRM super user. So I was always making sure that people stayed up to date on their pipeline, just as an example. So ask something that is more than just salary and so on, and then tailor and sell yourself to that. It's almost like you join a sales meeting with a client. You want to ask them questions so you can tailor your response, right?
Yeah, no, but correct, 100%.
Anything you can do after the interview then? Let's say you did a successful interview, or at least you had a good feeling. What should you do after?
No, but sometimes it can be important to continue show the interest and follow up a bit as well. Like sometimes a hiring manager or a recruiter is taking the first interview, and they are maybe having a pipeline of 5 more candidates. So they are doing full schedule of interviews this week. And then there is someone else involved in the process of hiring as well. It can be like a hiring manager, or it's maybe a few managers that are in the hiring team together that make the final decisions. You will be invited for a second round of interviews with maybe a case test, or you will meet the team, or something like you need to do a research, or you need to come up with something extra. Like, but I think it's to stay a bit like, but active in the process as well from the other side, as well as a candidate. You can follow up. It just shows that you are still interested. You can, like, for example, send a follow-up email after the first interview and saying like, hi Martin, I had a really good feeling about the interview today. I got more excited after talking with you and hear more about the company's ambitions. I'm really excited for the next round. Let me know when it will happen, or something like that. Just like a follow-up to show that you also had a good feeling as a candidate. And then, of course, if you're invited to call it for a second interview or meeting other people, then you can also, ask follow-up questions like, okay, let me know if I need to prepare something. Will it be in person? Do you prefer to meet me in person, or whatever
Which
it might
language?
be. Yeah. So small follow-up things as well from the candidate side to show that you're really in this because you want it, and also that you are engaged in the process because you really want the job.
Oh, that's great. Absolutely. Treating it like follow up equally from both sides. One thing I was also curious about when, I recently said that you shouldn't write down questions about salary, but what's your opinion on this, Rickard? When in the process should you bring up the salary part? Because of course you don't want to waste everyone's time. Neither does the recruiter or the interviewer. So where in the process should you at least be somewhat aligned on the salary, and how should you bring it up?
I would say, like, if we turn tables here, so say, for example, when we are headhunting people, I think to save everyone's time as good as we can. It depends. Of course, we are recruitment agencies, so we are an advisor in between, like almost like agents for a client or agents for a candidate. Like we're connecting clients and candidates, right? But to be aligned on the salary level already in the beginning of the process, I think is the best. So maybe if it's already mentioned, for example, in the job ad, then you know. But I think also when you are invited, like if that can be covered, I don't know, even in text before we take the first interview, or that we ask already in the first interview as well, because I think it's so important, and I think that many candidate falls out, or many jobs decisions, like in the end when you have a candidate in final stage, also falls out on the negotiations of salaries, because it's way too far from each other. So for example, when we do direct approach to candidates, I'm kind of very straight to the point, like saying, hi, quick question. We have a client that is looking for a sales director. The salary is 200K basic, OT on 300. Are you interested? Yes or no? It's more straight to the point. If they say, no, I earn 300 base today, it's not worth to discuss it, because it's 99% chance that they will not go lower their salary from 300 to 200K base. So for example, to cover that as soon as possible, so we go in with the same intention to the interviews and to the process, I think that is important. Even if it's a sore topic to bring up, I think it's important to do it as early as possible.
Absolutely.
How do you see it as a recruiter?
No, I think cover it as early as possible. As you said, we as recruiters, we try to cover it as early as possible. We don't want to waste our own time. And it's the same for a job seeker here. I think try to have it covered before you're invited to that first interview. Many companies will ask you or disclose the salary range before that first interview. And if they don't, I don't think there is any shame in asking that during the first interview. Let's say you're approaching the end, you have a good feeling, you have had a good chemistry with the interviewer. You can bring it up in a very professional way by saying that, I had a really pleasant call. I'm very excited for the next steps, but I just want to make sure I don't waste your time and don't waste my time either. So I was hoping that we could have a brief discussion about the range, just so we're not, too far off, like you said. So yeah, try to bring it up as early as possible.
Yeah, and negotiation stage now. Then we say that we are giving out the job offer. How should this like final stage of the process be handled in the best way, you think, to agree and sign a work contract and actually moving forward with the start date?
Yeah. Now, if you're a job seeker, and I'm gonna take for granted that we have somewhat aligned on the range earlier in the process, but when you get to that final stage, of course, you want to try and get the highest bid possible. And that's why it's so important also that you are addressing and highlighting your value in this interview process. That is probably where you can affect the final offer the most. If you have proven enough value during the first, second interview, you have done a good case test where you have proved your value and knowledge and technical skills and soft skills. That's how you sort of like maximize your chance of getting this top of the salary range. But yeah, I would say don't just accept it straight away. Take in the offer, and say that you need to think a bit about it. You can ask things like, okay, what is the start date? And these sort of like practical questions. But take the offer and think about it for a day. You can also give them like some time, or they will also give you a deadline. Like let's have a follow up in 2 days where we, discuss it further. And then don't be afraid to try and push on the salary part. Don't try and push it too much. But let's say you get an offer for 100K. Take a step back, go into that salary talk with a strong value proposition for yourself. If you just say, hey, Rickard, I'm not super happy with 100K, but could we make it 110K? Then I can accept it. That's not going to work. That's just going to make it seem a bit greedy. So try to come with a value proposition. Why are you asking for these extra 10,000? And if you have built enough, gravitas during the process, you gather the information, then you can sell that case for yourself. No, but Rickard, I bring actually 4 years of experience into this recruitment job. I've been the top biller for the last 2 years in my company. I was the CRM super user in my company and always made sure people was, following up on their pipeline. So I think I could become a key player in your team and help you reach your goal of becoming the best recruitment agency in the world. So build that strong case for yourself. But I would also say, like, if you can't, let's say you ask for 110K, but it ends up becoming 110K. You can also try to make some sort of agreement with the company that, okay, yeah, I will take the salary. I'm happy to prove my worth. I'm happy to, do the hard work and prove it. And then you can have a salary catch up again in 9 months, and you can agree on something like that.
But what could be a potential red flag then? If you say that you're pushing those things and you're actually, pushing too hard, or you already know that the max was 100K, but you're still asking for 110, and they maybe have two other candidates also in the final, and you were the first choice. Like, can you also create some problems for yourself of being too active on those things with negotiations and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you are informed about the highest end of the range, because often in like these very, at least in very large companies, like salary ranges can be very bureaucratic and political. It can have to do with policies, what other people in the team are earning, and these sort of stuff, like the budget of the hiring manager. So if they have communicated the max of the range before, I would not try to push it above the range. I would not, because as you say, they might have two other people in final stages who are gonna accept that level and seem a little bit more collaborative. And yeah, you can definitely create problems for yourself.
What could be other red flags then? Because I have one, for example, and that's connected to the salary. But maybe you can also think about more potential red flags or things that can create a problem in the final stage. But one, for example, it's not only the salary, but it could be benefits, for example. Like if a candidate have requesting 5 things, for example, that we are not offering, that gives me a bad feeling. For example, like say that we offer 22 holidays and this candidate, no, but I want 25. We had it in our last company. Or, oh, what is the insurance policy? Yeah, it's this level. Yeah, but I want that level. Or do we have company benefits like welfare money? No, we don't. Like, for example, like if there becomes too many questions and requests up on the salary, that starts to become a red flag, because then maybe I think like, of course, this person can be good to negotiate and close deals and, be accurate with the right questions to our clients. But will this person questioning everything we are doing in the company? Why did we do this? Why did we do that? We didn't do this in my last company, my last job. And, so at some point, I also get a bad feeling if it becomes too much.
Yeah, that's why it should have been covered, like we mentioned earlier, as early as possible. Not only salary, but also benefits, whether it's like pension scheme or company stocks or hybrid work or not hybrid work. Like communicate these things as early as possible, because it comes down to company policies and bureaucratic stuff. So try to cover it as early as possible. And I have another red flag actually, but it doesn't have to do with the final stage necessarily. It maybe has to do with the first parts of the process. But you should never, ever, ever talk bad about the previous employer or boss or colleague or position you've had. This is a big red flag. It's a big sign of insecurity and a blame game if you do this. So if you're, for example, asked that, okay, Martin, but I see here that you only stayed in this company for 1 year. Was there any reason to why you left this company or this position? Just don't, even if it was a terrible workplace, even if it was a terrible boss, or be the bigger person. Just say something in the likes of, no, I had it came down to personal reasons. It was a mutual agreement. It didn't work out in the end from both ways, and we noticed we weren't the best fit for each other, and it had to do with this and this and this. But don't come down to this part where you're kind of like, I think you know what I mean, but when you start to say that, no, but this boss was micromanaging me, they put up completely unrealistic targets and so on, because you might be speaking about targets with that current interviewer, and they might be start to thinking like, okay, but is this how this person views targets? Whenever they don't reach them, they blame that they are too high. So that's a big red flag that you should not do.
Exactly.
And the same for you as a job seeker. If your employer starts to say things that, we had one person leaving this position, that's why we need a new person for it, and this person, they did this and this and this, and they were absolutely not the fit, then you also know that that's a red flag for the job seeker.
And also, like, one thing I want to bring up, like, for example, because, like, say now that you get the job, but in many situations it's not always about, for example, that you have the requirements that are asked, or that you have the academic background for a job. There is so many different things that doesn't require talent. I'm not sure if you have seen this post, for example, like so that many people are sharing, like, those 10 words of, like, how you can succeed in a job without that doesn't require talent, if you know what I mean, like, being in time, having work ethic, showing effort in your job, having a good body language. I think the fifth one is, just having energy in what you are doing, giving energy, showing attitude, passion for what you are doing, being coachable, doing the little extra, and, being prepared. So many things that, doesn't require talent, but just the behavior is maybe what you can add into the process, but also something you can add in when you start doing your job, because that is also how you can stand out when you get the job. And people, I think, misunderstand sometimes what it means with, like, doing the little extra. It's not about overtime hours. It's more about taking an initiative and not saying that, but that is not my responsibility. Like, if something happens, being the one taking action instead of asking or, giving over the responsibility to someone else, that you are the person that, goes in, do the little extra, showing, passion for what you're doing, a good attitude, and this will of, learning and developing as well.
No, but absolutely. No, I heard about this list of these, like, 10 things that doesn't require talent. Maybe it's something we can also share with our listeners, and you will be able to find it in the we'll share it in the podcast description, so you can see it for yourself. But that's also one thing, now circling back again to how to succeed in the interview process and so on. Also, how you can gain a competitive edge is to present a plan of how will you succeed in the role during the first 3 or 6 months, especially when it comes to senior positions. Even if they haven't asked you to present this, if you come with a solid plan, like, hey, Rickard, this is exactly what I would do in the first 3 months, the first 6 months, and the first 12 months to make sure that we receive or achieve the the targets for this position and the targets for this team. That's something that definitely will help you stand out. And I've seen many examples of candidates that we have recruited who have done exactly this. And it's very well received from the company's end or the employer's end.
Yeah. And if you, in this case, I can give you an honest answer on it as well. If you walk the talk and live up to what you presented here, you will have a big chance of actually having promotions and having salary raises and, you know, giving a lot of chances that you normally don't get within a year. If you have a plan that you stick to and you walk the talk, that you live up to what you say, or at least try your best or ask for help if it's needed under the way. But, you know, showing this goal orientated behavior and also like live up to what you're saying can guarantee that with the fast paced work environment we are in today in the world, like you will stand out, you will get promotions, and it will go fast. 6, 12, 18, 24 months, you will get to a new level pretty fast, even in big organizations, because this is how you can stand out if you live up to your plan or to what you actually say in the interview phase.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's also one thing maybe I would like to summarize it with. It may be obvious, but you need to live up to what you're saying in the interview stage. And you also need to live up to the person you are when you apply for the job. There are so many times I've seen people who use AI. Absolutely, AI is super good for, you know, making your CV stand out, to match the keywords and, you know, optimize it. But if you're a police, for example, you can't fake it to become a doctor. Like, let's be honest. So only apply to jobs from the very beginning that you're actually sure that you can succeed in and that you're actually interested about. Because if you're just sending out an application and you're trying to, you know, lurk your way in by both AI tailoring your CV, and you make a big preparation in the interview and you make this perfect plan that you present to the company, you make a perfect case test. If you are not made for that job, both skills wise and personality wise, you are not going to succeed, even if your job process was 10 out of 10. So it also comes down to that, like only apply for stuff that you actually are a fit for.
And of course, if you want to get into the market, it's tricky sometimes because many jobs requires 1 to 3 years of experience. But like my best tips for that would be to use this like 10 things that doesn't require that requires zero talent, you know.
Yeah, the magical list that will be shared.
Sorry, no, but I think that is something, and that you can at least approach it with something in your personality and motivation that comes with the job. But applying for a job that requires 5 years of experience when you have 0, it makes no sense. Because in the end, the company is looking for someone that can go in and fill that job from day one with experience from doing the same somewhere else.
But let's say then the scenario comes where you have done a certain career, maybe you worked in a certain vertical or industry for some time, and you feel like it's time to completely change it, do a 180 and get into a new job. Do you have any tips to succeed with that? Because there are people who go from being, you know, working in real estate maybe, and then they turn to software sales, or they work as an accountant and suddenly they are working in HR. Like, do you have any tips on how to maybe do a complete career change?
Yeah, but one thing can be actually to, of course, see if there is anything that is connecting in those industries or jobs that you can still, like skill sets that you have that can be used in the new job or in the new industry, and try to play hard on them. But another thing can actually be to do some studies, like to actually go and do some online studies or taking a course or doing a 1-year study on the side, something that shows that you want to change industry. So say, for example, that I work with sales and I want to go into real estate, then maybe I do a course about real estate for 6 to 12 months to show that I at least want to move in that direction and I've showed interest to to take the step. Also look in your network. Do I have someone that works in this industry and with this kind of job, and can they guide you and become your mentor in this as well, so they can support you in the process, or maybe, be your way into the industry?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So do some studies, or first of all, maybe find some similarities in the job you're doing today. Do some studies on the side, maybe take some certificates, whatever it can be. You have a lot of good online self-study platforms today, Udemy, for example. And like you said, connect with people in the industry, find maybe a mentor, ask how they got their first job in that specific industry. And maybe one thing I would also add is that start in your current position and your current company. Maybe there is tasks that you can do outside of your normal, responsibilities, that you can, start to dig this path for yourself. Let's say you're working with sales. You are, achieving your targets, you're doing a good job, but you're very interested in moving to marketing. Maybe you ask your current employer to take on some marketing tasks, to be the link between sales and marketing, start to push content, start to do webinars or whatever it might be. So, you add some few tasks here and there, some responsibilities, and then you can highlight those, like you said, when you're applying for that marketing job, plus you have a course or certificate, and then you have a mentor within marketing that can help you. So yeah, that's a good list.
And sometimes maybe you need to lower the expectation when you're entering that new market and that new job, that maybe you need to start as a marketing assistant first until you can get the marketing manager job. And maybe you need to lower your salary and go down from 50 to 35K, but you need to take that cut to get the chance into the market. And then, like I said, if you prove yourself and you're open about your current salary and what you're aiming for, then maybe in a year you're back to your 50K, but you're also doing your new passion with new energy and new motivation. And
Absolutely. Taking one step back and then 2 steps forward, as they say.
Some final words, I don't know, maybe about career growth within your current company. Is there some tips and tricks you have to grow within your company?
No, but I would say a little bit similar to what I just said regarding changing industry, but start to see what responsibilities there are outside of your normal responsibilities. And first of all, before you do that, make sure that you actually succeed and you reach your targets and you do your job that you're actually hired to do. But then once you're doing that, start speaking to your management or your boss about your aspirations, because as managers, I think both you and me can agree that you love to have employees and colleagues that are showing this interest, that they want to grow, they want to take on new responsibilities. And it doesn't need to be, taking on a new responsibility means like a salary raise or something like this. You take that extra responsibility because you want to show your interest and your path. And if you do that and you trust the process and you're in a good company with a good management, that will lead to your next step in your career or internally at that company. Anything you would say?
Nothing to add. I think we have touched on it as well, about this list with those 10 keywords that can be a good extra value to your job and to your performance. And I think you can move fast as well today. It doesn't need to be a startup. It doesn't need to be a scale up. Of course, if you join a bigger corporate organization, it might 6 months in a scale up is maybe 1 year in a bigger organization, or 1 year in a scale up is maybe 2 years in a bigger organization. So you need to also have some long-term visions and not be too impatient. Like, you need to be resilient and prove things a bit over time, but things move fast today. And we also touched on it in the other episodes, that if you don't get this chance in your current company, there is opportunities in other companies as well. But I don't think you should jump just to jump. I think you should jump for a reason if you are doing it, and not just because things doesn't happen overnight. Because if you are in a good place with good colleagues and you feel valued and you see that there is opportunities to grow. Like you said, ask, what can I do? Maybe set up a plan, work towards that plan, set a goal of 3 months, like we have talked about in the past. Like, things doesn't happen over the night. If you want to see results with training, you need to do it over time. Do the same, for example, within work. But of course, you can, like we said about the interview process as well, but follow up from your end as well. We should follow up from both sides. It shouldn't be only on the manager, like, oh, but I haven't heard anything in 3 months. No, but Martin, you could have asked me as well, like, let's work on this together. Doesn't matter who follow up, like, let's do it together and work on your development process and your career growth.
100% agree. No, I see that we're approaching the 50-minute mark here on the recording, but it's been a very nice discussion, Rickard, and I think, of course, we could talk on about this for probably another hour, but sun is shining here in Barcelona, and I look forward to going to the beach here Sunday afternoon. So what's your Sunday plans?
Oh, nothing, to be honest, just prep for tomorrow. New week, new opportunities. But I really hope that this episode, if you can just help one person, to think differently and helping them in the process to get a new job, I would be super happy. So if someone gets results out of this talk that we had today, please reach out. We want feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the biggest tip of today's episode to how to really succeed in a job seeking process is to get help from a recruiter, right? Because they work with this day in and day out. They have done a job process hundreds of times. So if you find a good recruiter, keep them close, because they can help you achieve big things.
And they also have all the jobs that are not posted are also maybe in their network. So we can open up jobs for you that is not posted as well.
Exactly. No, but it's been a great discussion, Rickard. We will hear. Exactly. No, I will definitely enjoy. And thank you all for listening. We will hear from each other in 2 weeks' time. So hope you stick around. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.